Howdy lovelies, how are you all doing? Welcome back to our crafting, where we learn, grow and craft together. In today's session, we are going to learn how to make our own transparent overlays. Now you can use transparencies. A few years back you got it still for inkjets, laser jets, all of those. If you have some, please by all means use that. If you don't have some, don't fret. I'm going to show you how to recycle some packaging material and make this for yourself. So we're going to use some packaging material. Grab a piece that is not wrinkled if possible. It will just make it appear so much better. So I'm going to grab mine and let's get started. So again, I am using a small piece of that very thin cardstock. It's about 80 GSM, very flimsy. It's merely a little bit thicker than normal copy paper. Now for this not to be so stark white, I am using my ink blending tool and some antique linen, and I'm just quickly going to color this so that it's not so stark white. Not worry too much about getting it on here evenly. You could have used colored paper, pattern paper, whatever your project is, it will still be fine. I just want to not have it so stark white. And of course, as always, I will clean my craft mat afterwards. Just a little bit more here on the edge, and maybe a bit there, and where you have more layers. There we go. I like that look. All right, that's the one part of that. I want to just stamp, I think, in rusty hinge, just something that fits in with this. I'm going to use this stamp, which is from the Etc. stamp set, CMS 302. And I just dropped my ink pad. Imagine that. I would have ink all over the show. Going to add my ink to the stamp. Not using a stamp block for this one. Just making sure there's ink all over. Not going to use the whole stamp, but I want this one. So let me just turn it the proper way. Going to add that there and just apply pressure to make sure that I've got a proper stamped image. Stamp block would have been better. I don't have the correct size with me. There we have that one. Now I'm going to put that to one side just for a second or so, and that can then dry in the meantime. Remember, Distress Oxides take a little longer because it is pigment based, so it takes a little bit longer to dry. So for the next part of this, you need your little cellophane or packaging material, something that is not wrinkled. I've got a bit of damage there where I pulled the staple off. It's not an issue. We're only going to use one layer. I'm going to use this set from Stampers Anonymous, School Desk. So I think I want this stamp. I think that will be awesome. So I'm going to use archival ink. This is Ground Espresso. You can use any type of archival ink. You can use the Ranger inks. There are so many different archival inks. Use what you have. I just use the archival ink because it will not then go off this little acetate or cellophane, call it what you want. There we go. Just make sure that this is inked up well. Stamp block probably would work better. I'm sure it will. It'll just give me that extra bit of sturdiness that I need to get a good impression. Just tapping this on again all over, making sure that it's there. Now don't worry if it's not too straight, but try to do it on line. Now there's still a mark with a staple there. I wouldn't want that close there because we're going to cut this off. So I'm going to just leave some space on either side for me. Try to line this up with the guidelines on my cutting mat, and I'm going to stamp this on this packaging material. Again, making sure that it's got a good impression. MSD would have worked. Any of those stamping tools would have been perfect for this. And I'm going to lift it, try to lift it away from you. There we go. So we have that one. I'm going to close this ink now. I'm going to leave this for a moment to dry, and then we will do the happy reveal in a second. So let's complete this one. I want something different, so let's go for vintage photo, maybe walnut stain, and I want something else on here just to be able to use this project, and I'll just show you how to do this. I'm going to add this on here. You could have left it as it is. I would just love to have a complete project by the end. Maybe a little number. Why not? Again, from this set, which is called Etc. Let's do that there. Make sure a good impression. There we have that one. Kind of love it. And this says number 8 Market Street. Now I think it will be better to just use a stamping block for this thin little stamp. So just attach that and ink it up. And we can just add it to that little part there. Just that extra little bit of detail, which is perfect. And then this one says enclosure. Could have been any. You could have used some of the stamps from Field Notes, or even from, what's that other beautiful set's name? Eccentric, yeah, I think it's eccentric. Not sure. But there are, whatever stamps you have, it shouldn't be from a different or a specific set. I just use what I have here. So there we have that. I'm going to, again, just use my ink blending tool and ink the edges. Remember, the back is all white. See how thin this cardstock is? The ink is actually seeping through the back. That's how thin this is. Just inking those ends. We could have rounded the corners. It truly is up to you. Now for this, I don't want to attach any glue or glue tape to the front. I will do that at the back. So there we have that. I'm going to use my Aleene's for this. There's that little card that we just made. I like the look of the rusty hinge with the darker walnut stain on top of it. And then we will have this. Now for the great reveal. We have this little piece that just fit in very, very, very nicely. Now we can include all of this. I'm going to just snip this down. Let's see, the width of this doesn't have to be, I want to include that edge and up to here. So we can use a box cutter for this. Let me just move the ink out of the way so that that doesn't bother us. Let's grab a ruler. Now I want to line up the card with the grid lines so that we know where more or less we will have to use the side, and we will cut it there. I beg your pardon. This, so I just want to make a little mark for myself. You can trim it down there, have that exposed. However, I want to just cut it there. And I want to just take my card out so that I don't damage that in the process cutting this. So we will continue with that one, more or less up to there. We can trim it down to size just now. And this one, let's see the height of this. We need to do that. So I'm going to just trim it this side, just to give us space to fold this over. And yes, I'm cutting through both layers. I could have cut it down a bit. This I will use for little slides, frames, whatever you want to call it. This will go there, and this part needs to be trimmed down. Now I don't want to cut our card, so it will be right at the bottom of this. Just there. We have that one. Now for this, we'll have to just trim it right on top of that. We can probably turn it over and just cut it there. Try not to have this slip, because that can potentially ruin your project. Always close your box cutter, craft knife, whatever you want to call it, so that you do not get yourself hurt. So there we have the overlay. Now how are we going to attach this? We're simply going to score this. And it can be easily done the other way around as well, by putting some glue down here, the top part. It's the whole thing, so we will put glue down here. And don't flip it over like I just did. We're going to put it this side, and I've smeared it in the meantime, which is utterly sad, because that means it's not dry yet. I'm just going to get my scoring tool. It will have some glue there, and there we have it. I just want to run the extra glue out of there. And that part will dry, so that's not too much of a worry. And there we have that. How cool is that? Sadly, I have smeared mine. I should have just waited a little bit longer. I should have just waited a little bit longer before I had touched it. But there we have the overlay. We have that part, and then of course we have the overlay. And there's now a piece of glue on here, and we can just wipe that off. There we have it. And once you have put this in your journal, this will then learn to go flat, absolutely flat. So there you have it, your own overlay with some packaging material. Just be careful, just wait a little bit longer so that the archival ink can dry properly and it doesn't smear. So I hope you enjoyed for joining me today. Go try this for yourself, and if you do, please tag Wawa Crafting on social media, as I would love to see your makes as well. If you want to see more content like this, give me a thumbs up so that we can share these tips and tricks with more people that need to see it. And as always, I'll be appreciating it if you subscribe to my channel too. If you haven't done so, please hit that little notification bell so that you cannot miss any new content. See you back soon. Goodbye.